one. Anyway, hello there and welcome. And if you are familiar with these videos, you know that I do like to keep my eye on the newsfeed that I get from the horticultural industry. And today I've had a fantastic one come through from the Express. So thank you very much. Regarding a interview with Monty Don. Monty Don being one of my favourite gardening TV presenters. Anyway, Monty Don is angry. He is on a rant and he is saying to everybody there is one gardening product that you should never use. It is bad for the environment. It is bad for your plants, and if you use it, that makes you a terrible person. So let's find out why he's got so angry. And there are some issues with this, and I'm going to get into them. Let's get on with it. What is the matter, Monty Don? What have I been doing wrong? Now, this is all about the usage of moss peat in the production of compost. It could be multi-purpose compost, seed compost, any other kind of specialist compost. And I have a quote for you, but before I give you that quote, I will Monty Don myself up a wee bit to give it some justice. This is the quote. Let me be very clear. There is no excuse or reason to use peat under any circumstances. To do so is, at best, naive and uninformed. Using peat is simply bad gardening. Just say no. And then I think he says baroque after that, because in general he says baroque in pretty much anything he does. It's his favourite word. It's like Monty Don bingo. Okay, right, let's continue. Now, before I start, can I just say that this isn't an article written by Monty Don. This is an article written by somebody else. And as with all these things, once you start using other people's words for your own work, then errors can creep in. So, you've got to take this with a pinch of salt. But there are certain things that need to be addressed. One of the things is regarding peat anyway. Since 2011, there's been an industry-wide removal of peat from most peat products. You try and find a peat-based product in your garden centre, you're going to really struggle. They just aren't really there, apart from, say, maybe in the John Innes compost, because that's just part of their traditional formulation. And the other thing is this. It's a bit of a hollow rant, simply because peat has been banned in the retail horticultural industry since 2024. So even if you did want to buy it, you can't buy it anyway. So going on about it and making people feel bad about themselves, I don't know, doesn't make any sense. And plus, I love moss peat compost. Moss peat compost, absolutely superb. They have some fantastic benefits. But Monty Don has this to say about peat and why it's in compost. Got another quote for you. The reason behind the switch to peat had little to do with gardening and was in fact much more to do with economics. Peat's lower weight made it cheaper to transport and thus more profitable. Well, peat's been used in the horticultural industry commercially probably since about the 1850s, and yes, it is lighter than the alternative, which is probably soil, which is clearly more weighty. But to say it was more profitable, let's be honest, when I was selling compost in the end of the 1900s, beginning of the 21st century, it was an absolute cutthroat business. I mean, they were, they weren't making massive profits. They were selling big and they were selling bulk, and it was an absolute bun fight out there between the compost suppliers to try and sell you some stock. There wasn't huge amounts of profit in the compost. They weren't making massive profits. That just doesn't ring true at all. And to say that peat is bad for your plants, are you flipping insane? Peat's an absolutely fantastic product, I'll tell you why. Now, if you are finding the information in this video useful, or perhaps just mildly amusing and you'd like to pass it on, then by all means press the like button. It supports this channel immensely and helps us do what we do. Don't forget, you can also click onto the subscription button. Subscription is absolutely free and you can unsubscribe at any time. It doesn't cost you anything, and if you want to be notified whenever we publish a new video, then all you need to do is click on that notification bell. Anyway, let's continue to find out what old Boiled Belt has to say. Monty Don says it has no nutritional value and requires wetting agents and detergents in order to make it retain water. And to be honest with you, if you're buying cheap, coarse, rough old moss peat, once it does dry out, it is very, very difficult to get that to re-wet, and also it's prone to shrinkage. So if you are taking that point of cheap rough peat, then yeah, it's not very good, but the good stuff is phenomenal. I'll explain. Oh, and he also says it's sterile, like it's a bad thing. In general, moss peat is extremely good at holding on to nutrients that you add to it and holding on to moisture, and the fact that it is sterile is not a terrible thing. It's actually a benefit, simply because all your composts have to be steam sterilised to be sterile in the first place. And the reason why you want these things sterile, because then you know that it doesn't contain any bacterial issues, any fungal issues, any dormant weed seeds. Your compost is sterile. All your bagged compost that you buy in the supermarket has all been heat treated. It has already been sterilised. So saying that peat is sterile is a problem. Just doing it again. I'm hitting my head out of frustration. That's not a problem. I'm sitting back down again because I haven't finished. It also has this really lovely open pore structure to it that allows excellent drainage. It allows air pockets within the soil, and it also it's sort of fairly resistant to compression and compaction as well. So it makes a fantastic medium for your roots to grow into, and that's probably the key. That's probably the most important thing about it, is the fact that it creates this absolutely wonderful environment for your roots to grow. You can't deny that. You can't deny that. It is incredible. Peat's brilliant, but I know there's some problems with it. We'll get onto that in a minute. But where I do agree with Monty Don is regarding the environmental concerns of peat bog destruction. Firstly, it destroys valuable wetlands and also destroys an extremely valuable carbon dioxide sink. You do get some people out there saying, "Oh, well, it's a natural resource that is self-regenerating." But the trouble is, when it has been harvested, it's harvested in such huge quantities that there's no way that the peat bogs can recover from that unless you stop the harvesting and allow the water back into it, because it's often drained, or almost always drained, prior to the extraction. So yes, the use of peat in an unsustainable manner is absolutely awful and should be stopped, and alternatives to the ingredients to our composts should be found and used. But at the moment, let's be honest with you, most of the current modern multi-purpose compost alternatives that you get nowadays, with like coir or composted bark, are pretty crap compared to what we used to get. I mean, I remember the days when you had Leventon's multi-purpose compost. It was the best quality you could buy, and it was beautiful. It was a fantastic product, and it was like black gold. Fantastic stuff. So, to conclude, getting extremely angry about the usage of moss peat in compost is completely unnecessary, because, as I've said earlier, it is banned. Nobody can actually purchase it anymore in the retail sector. Although, to be fair, you have to wait until 2030 before the commercial industry has a complete ban on it, because they can still use it for certain products. And there we are, there we have it. But before I go, there was a lovely little story of the compost that Monty Don used to have to make up himself for his family when he was a young whippersnapper gardener, and I thought that was very interesting. So it was a mixture of leaf mould, it was a mixture of the loam from the bases of turfs, and it was a mixture of garden compost, and all sieved. And of course the downside of that is, because it is not sterilised, you are getting weed seeds coming through. So if you're using this as a seed compost, this is why you tend to sow your seeds in lines, so that you know that all the all the emerging seedlings that are in a line are likely to be the ones that you've sown, and all the seedlings that are emerging outside of those lines are going to be your weed seeds, so you can pull those out without pulling out the seeds you've just sown. I thought that was a lovely little thing. Anyway, if there's anything you would like to add regarding the use of peat in compost, which you can't do because it's banned here in the UK, then you are more than welcome to add that. And can I just point out that both in America and Russia, they are excavating peat at a phenomenal rate, and rather than worrying too much about what we're doing here in the UK, maybe more light should be shone on those countries that really haven't stopped and are continuing to destroy their wetland habitat and peat bogs, especially when it comes to carbon capture. So that's it, that's all I have to say. But if you are interested in supporting this channel a bit more than what I just said earlier, then check out this next bit. Thank you for watching. Don't get too angry in the comments. I'll speak to you later. Right, now, just before you go, if you want to see more content, more behind the scenes stuff, and images that I've taken of some weird freaky plants over the years, then you're in luck, because we've created an Instagram page. So you can find the link in our description, you can find the link on our main page, and if I'm clever enough I might be able to get a link somewhere up there. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to see more YouTube stuff, then check out this video here. That's quite a good one. And if it doesn't float your boat, then another one right there. And enjoy these while I've still got the strength, imagination and aptitude to make them. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.